Hey, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Saturday. It is 1 p.m. here in the great state of Texas. And my name is Tasha Mason, and I want to welcome you to my book launch celebration of Let's Celebrate and Remember Love Celebrate. I am so excited. Today is just an awesome day. Of course, every day is an awesome day. But I'm so excited to share this with you all. So come on in. If you're playing this on replay, hey, please don't be shy to let me know where you're watching this from. So I am so excited to share, not only share the two new books, but also reintroduce the whole series, Child's Journey Through Grief series. And it's very personal to me because of the fact that I myself had dealt with death at an early age, at the age of 9 years old, with the death of my father. And it took a while for me to get to a point to being okay and then being able to share my experience with you along with these books. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so some of you all may know who I am, some of you may not. But for those who may not know who I am, my name is Tasha Mason, author of A Child's Journey Through Grief series. And as I said, this is a book launch celebration. So let me make sure I have everything ready to go, which I believe I do. I just don't want to have everything in the way. Hang on just a second. Let's move this over right quick. All right. So, all right. So who am I? I just said who I was. My name is Tasha Mason. I am an Army veteran. So this is an awesome Veterans Day weekend. So not only for myself and my fellow veterans out there, regardless of the branch of service, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. I myself am an Army veteran. I served 16 years in the wonderful Army. But due to some strenuous family issues, I had to go ahead and get out. But I was blessed enough to buy back my time working for the federal government for a little bit. And I worked for the Department for Housing and Urban Development. And then I went over to the VA for a couple of years and was a social worker. And then I came back over to HUD. And I was offered an early retirement this year, and I took it. So now I am working on being a full-time author. I'm also a certified nutrition coach, and we'll talk about that at another time. I already said I was a previous social worker. I also did volunteer work for a grief support group for children when I was living in Fort Worth, Texas at the time. Did that for a few years, and now I currently work with an online group for adults dealing with grief. And every now and then I do a little bit of a grief coaching. Did I mention that I'm in the wonderful state of Texas? I'm down here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm originally from Dallas, but I made my way down here to San Antonio, which is really lovely too. So, my story goes back to being 9 years old when my mom had to tell me that my dad died. And it definitely changed the trajectory of how my life was going to be. Actually, I didn't even know how my life was going to be at the age of 9, but I did not expect this, okay? And it was tough because I was one of those kids that didn't like expressing my emotions. And even though my mom was there to help me really work through and process my grief, it was still a challenge. So it affected me through my childhood, my adolescence, and into adulthood, especially the way I interacted with people because I was just so concerned of, whether I was going to lose that person, not necessarily to death, but just losing them all the way around, and even concerned for my family. But I will tell you, I got support from my family and also my military family as well. But I was able to participate in various activities that you will see throughout these books that I added to it. Spending time with family. I found out drawing was a niche of mine. Actually, I found that out when I was put on punishment. But I enjoyed drawing, and it gave me this euphoric feeling. So being creative was very important. Learning how to ride horses. As a matter of fact, my mom some of you all may have already heard this story, but when I was younger, my mom was dating a gentleman who was an engineer and he had his own ranch. And I learned how to ride horses. I learned how to barrel race. So I had a great time, and I met my best friend through there. And then other family and friends through that time, which was very helpful. And I didn't realize it was therapeutic for me until later on. And then, of course, participating in school activities. Now, for me, I like to stay busy. And when I didn't want to think about it, it actually got to a point where it was better for me to do things as opposed to express my feelings, which I'm so glad my mom was there to help me through that process. And I did go to counseling. I went to counseling as a kid, but I don't remember that time. There's a lot of holes in my memory from back then. But as an adult, I finally went to therapy and to process my grief over my dad. And when I got to a point of being okay, that's when the idea for A Child's Journey Through Grief series came up. And it was just the first book, but I don't want to say goodbye. Um, I didn't even think I was going to write a series. And to tell you, some people say, "Oh, well, I've always wanted to be an author." I would be lying to you if I told you that was the truth because I never thought about being an author until after I was able to process things in therapy. It was like, "Oh, yeah, I want to write children's books, but what do I write about?" Writing about, just various topics. But when the topic of grief came up, I was very apprehensive about it because I didn't want to tap back into that 9-year-old self. I sat on it for a year, and I truly believe the good Lord just kept nagging me to say your story needed to be told. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do it, how am I going to do it? So with the first book, but I don't want to say goodbye. Like I said, I had to tap back into my 9-year-old self. I had to think about those emotions, think about how I felt when my mom told me and everything, and kind of relive that moment in order to get those expressions out. But I knew that I did not want to go in the direction of how the funeral was going to be. As a kid, the last image in my mind wanted to see my dad in the casket. So I remember it's more than a few years ago now. It's like over 5 years ago, maybe almost 10. And I was watching a show on A&E, and it was talking about a place that I used to live when I was in the Army, Sarasota, Florida. And it was an organization that made these reef balls, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And I didn't think anything else about it until fast forward to me starting to write this book, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what was that thing that I saw?" So I Googled it, found the organization, spoke with the CEO, and asked him if I could use the process in the book, and he said yes. So the book, the book, but I don't want to say goodbye, starts with the family getting ready for the funeral, and it's through the eyes of this little girl. And in this book, I never give her name, and I did that on purpose because I wanted the readers to identify with this family. And it's through her, and it's the little girl's words that you are hearing. You're hearing about how she's feeling and that she's not ready to say goodbye to her dad. But through the creative ways of being able to memorialize a loved one and expressing your emotions, being able to express a little bit better, she was able to finally get to that point. I felt it was very important for this book to have a realness to it because there are plenty of wonderful books, children's books out there about grief. There were some that use animals, some using metaphors, but I wanted to be straightforward because I want children and their families to understand, hey, look, I am in this space. I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, and these various emotions are okay. And there's no such thing as bad emotions. And let me go ahead and put that out there. No such thing as bad emotions. So it's a thing of understanding that and understanding that sometimes we're in that place. And I have to give a huge shout out to the illustrator that I worked with at the time for books 1 and 2, Tanya Colton Carley. She was so awesome. She graduated with my sister from high school. She's an awesome graphic designer. And it was so interesting because she was saying, "Well, I've never illustrated a book." And I was like, "Well, I've never written a book before." So we're learning together. And through the process, we formed a wonderful friendship, a sisterhood, to be able to share this story with so many people. So I mentioned a while ago about the reef ball, right? So I thought this was so cool. So I actually went after the book was published. I went to a spot in Galveston, Florida, because even though Eternal Reefs, which is the organization's name, was in Sarasota, Florida, they have places along the Gulf Coast, along Texas as well. And so I visit them to actually see this process in person. And the process actually takes 4 days. So the family comes down with their loved ones' cremated ashes. And as you can see here, the gentlemen that are in the little bucket there, they pour the cremated ashes in there and mix it with the eco-friendly type concrete. And then the second picture you see, they actually pour it in the top. So the actual reef ball itself, as you can see, is this thing right here. It's various sizes, but it's pretty big and heavy. So they put this concrete mixture with the cremated ashes at the top, and people can put little trinkets in there like seashells, maybe ribbons, different things like that. And kids even put their handprints in there. It's like an arts and craft type thing. So the next day, it dries. So the whole day, it dries, no one does anything. But the third day is when the memorial takes place. And each family has a memorial service. As you see in this picture here, um, there is a military service memorial. So, and if you can see, probably on the little, there's a little plate right here, you can barely see it, but that's the person's name, and along with whatever information, if they were a veteran or not, it's on there. And then in the fourth picture, is where the fourth day, which was awesome. So I got to get on the boat with the rest of the families, and they went out to where the coral reef is. And we, on the other side, as you can see, there's a ship over there with all these reef balls, which is heavy. They have to use a crane to pick it up and put it in the water. The reef ball is placed along the coral reef because what it does, it helps the coral, because we have coral reefs that are dying. That eternal reef ball actually helps with the rebuilding of the coral reef, and with the eco-friendly concrete, and help build a home for sea animals. And I thought that was so cool. And to be able to see it in person was amazing. So I got to meet the staff with Eternal Reefs. I got to sit down with some family and friends of those that passed on, and it was so amazing to hear the stories. Even going on the boat is an amazing experience. And I have to tell you, my mom was a little bit apprehensive at first about reading the book, which I understood because she went through that time with me dealing with my grief. But when she saw it, she was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know this is the direction you were going to go." Because I wanted to, even though the feelings are raw, I want there to be a sense of hope and a sense of joy that can start coming, to kind of blossom through that. So that was the first book, book one. So then when I was thinking about book two, I thought about, okay, well, the family, is still trying to process the new norm. Because, at the funeral and even before, people are saying, well, if you need anything, let me know. I am there for you. And sometimes, some people actually mean what they say, but sometimes it can be a bit too much, or life sometimes just is lifey, right? And so I wanted to talk about what happens to the family afterwards. So in the second book, It's Okay to Be Happy, we see the little girl, which her name is Jasmine. So you hear her name in this book. And you see as she's processing. In the first picture, you see she's sitting here looking at the other kids with their dads. And that can be very confusing and very angry. Because I know when I was younger, I used to wonder where, well, all these other kids get to have their dad, but what about me? What did I do for me to lose my dad? And sometimes, kids think about that. And it's to the point of, a lot of kids internalize things. And at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's like, well, how do I be able to help this child move forward? How can I help myself move forward, especially when I'm grieving? Well, that's where grief support groups for kids, or even counselings, come into play. And so when you're looking at, how to help your child, if counseling is a way to go, there's plenty of organizations out there to help. So I had Jasmine on her journey actually go to a grief counseling place for children, where they're sitting there expressing their feelings about their parent that has died. In addition to counseling, I mentioned about riding horses, so I decided to put this in the book as well. Did not know about equine assistant therapy until I was looking these different things up as I was writing the book. And there is a place in around Fort Worth, Texas, where they actually specifically specialize in equine assistant therapy. And that's basically, working with horses, riding horses, people that are dealing with mental health issues, people that are dealing with physical issues, they can ride horses. And animals can sense those emotions a lot better than we can sometimes, and they can provide comfort. So that's why I also put it in the book. And I forgot to mention, and throughout the books, I put Bella, my old English bulldog, who she's 13 years old right now, but in the book, I put her as a puppy. So you see her throughout the book, which is also a form of comfort. In addition to equine assistant therapy, there's also just different ways to create things to remember your loved one. So in as you can see in the bottom right picture, the mom and Jasmine are creating a photo album. I know we're in the technology age and it's so easy to get on the computer and build an album, but sometimes you might want to take it old school and get an album and get some construction paper, print out pictures, and cutting out pictures and pasting them in an actual photo album. And during that time, you can play music, you can share stories about your loved one. I think it is always important to kind of get back to the basics because technology is great, but sometimes just doing just doing things that you can actually put your hands on and actually physically touch sometimes can help as well. And so this brings me to the third book, the final book of the series, Let's Celebrate. Now, I chose this title because keep in mind, it's not about moving on, but about moving forward. Let me say that again. It's not about moving on, it's about moving forward. And the reason why I say that is because this person, whoever it is in your life that has passed on, is no longer here physically. And there's a lot of grief that goes behind that. There's a lot of memories that were created, whether a child had their parent, grandparent, friend, or even an adult that had a relationship for a long time. You still miss that person. You're creating new norms on what his life is going to be like without that person. And each milestone you hit, it's going to be, okay, wow, I just graduated from high school. Man, I wish my dad was here. I just graduated from college. I just graduated from basic training. I got married. I have children. All these different milestones, or even something as I got a promotion. I wish I can get on the phone and call him right now. So in this story, Jasmine is getting ready for her ballet recital. And typically her dad records the ballet recitals and they go home and they eat pizza and ice cream and they watch it together. But now dad's not here. So she doesn't want to perform in the ballet recital. So with the help of mom and her aunt Rhonda and Bella, um, she understands that it's okay to be in those feelings, to sit there and be sad and be angry. Um, and at the same time, it's okay to create new memories with the things that you've already done. So even though dad is not there to record, guess what? Aunt Rhonda's there to record. And you can still go home and watch it on video. And you can even share the times that you watched it with dad. There's also Jasmine's birthday party that's coming up. Her first birthday without her dad. She doesn't want to celebrate her birthday. Why? Because dad is there. Dad was there. So Aunt Rhonda and mom also help her still be in that space of validating her feelings. That's one thing, that's one of the most important things is not saying, oh, don't cry, things will get better. Sit with them in that. Yes, I am so sorry that you are feeling this way. And it's so sad that he's not here because I miss him too. Well, what do you want to do today? And then kind of go from there. And so during this time and she feels up to going as her doing the birthday party. She's still remembering her dad, and even though she missed him, she finds moments of joy, which is very important. And that's the whole point of a child's journey through grief series. And as I share with the people that I do a group facilitating with, grief comes in waves. And I say that because it could be one day you are everything's going great, and then you hear a song on the radio Someone says something, you see something on TV, you read something, and it'll take you back to day one. So you know that saying, take it day by day? I don't even say that. I use take it moment by moment because grief can come within that same time. In 1 minute, you're sitting there, you're laughing, you're joking, and the next minute you're crying. And also, you are not responsible for someone else feeling uncomfortable because you are building in that space. Sometimes other people may feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. But you're not responsible for them being uncomfortable. So I wanted these books to help facilitate these conversations to be able to be in a space of, you know what, hey, look, this family is going through it. We're going through it. But you know what? We got to keep working at it. We can talk about the memories. We can build. We're going to be okay. And even though there are going to be times throughout your life, and as I said, I was 9 years old. Next month will be December 12th, will be 39 years since my dad has been gone. And there are different milestones in my life, different things that happen where I'm like, man, I wish he was here. To this very day, I feel the same way. Now, I do handle it a lot better now. I don't have a problem expressing my feelings or talking about him. And of course, sharing those memories. And even though I only had 9 years, I'm appreciative of those 9 years. But I had to get to that point to be that way. So, in addition to the Child's Journey Through Grief series, I wanted to create an activity coloring book for children to be able to not only read the series, but able to express themselves creatively. So, with this book, and I have to give a shout out to Anata Mahanta, who illustrated the third book and this activity coloring book. He did a great job with the illustrations. I wanted to put together something where children can color, children can do word search, mazes, journaling, reading some biblical scriptures that deal with grief and comfort, and put it all in one. So there is, as you can see on the screen, there's a how you're feeling page. But guess what? In addition to that, for those that may want it, I actually have a poster that children can put on their wall because, like in the doctor's office, when you walk in, there's that poster that says, how are you feeling? And they do like on a scale of 1 to 5. But on here, I put on here various emotions. So just in case children don't understand how to express themselves, they can look at the poster and go, oh, look, Jasmine looks angry today. She looks confused. That's how I'm feeling today. So even in the book, they can color or circle how they're feeling. Also, I put in there an activity creating a memory jar and getting a jar and decorating it, getting some paper, cutting it out, construction paper, so as you can see, going back to being creative, and writing down your favorite memories, or even if it's a word or a phrase, something in there that you can always go back to and they can read and maybe share a story about what they wrote on that paper. And along with, I put a list of biblical scriptures in there that deals with grief, loss, and love, because I always feel that even though you're going through it, I believe God is always there to provide comfort. And sometimes, when you're ready, you can read the scriptures and kind of help in that way to help bring comfort. And then, of course, towards the end, in the back of the book, there's journaling, whether the child wants to journal how they feel, if they want to write just words of feelings, whatever they want to do with those pages. So I put that all together. So not only do you have a story you can follow, but also you can join Jasmine as you are working on expressing your emotions and your grief. And even though I created this series for children, it is for the child at heart. Even if you lost your family member a couple of years ago and you're an adult, even if you don't want to do the activity coloring book, the series is for you as well. So whether you're a teacher, you're a principal, you're a counselor, therapist, these books are very helpful and they are available today. That's why book launch day, all the books are available. And I'm so excited to share them with you. And then also my new website is up and running today. We had a lot of work going on, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I wanted to share with you some upcoming appearances. So I wrapped up Reading with Your Kid podcast last week, and it's going to be broadcast next Thursday, November 13th. So I will make sure I put that on my social media site so you guys can listen to it. Jed Lee is always a pleasure. I've been on his podcast twice already with the first two books, and being able to share the third book has been amazing. And then on top of that, I told you I had some surprises coming up. So on the 20th of November, I'm going to be on a local news station, Kens 5, which is a CBS affiliate, with Great Day SA to talk about the series. Now they're going to broadcast it on the 27th, which is interesting because it's going to be on Thanksgiving Day. So I'm not for sure if they're going to do that either the Wednesday or Thursday, and I'll double check to make sure. But I will make sure for those in San Antonio, I will let you know. And then once they broadcast and they put it out there, I make sure I put it on my both Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok if possible there too. And then December 6th, if you're in the Dallas area, I'm going to be at the Black Child Book Fair, Parks in the Woods Center, and off of Mountain Creek Parkway. So I'll be there. It's from 10 to 3. It's Saturday, December 6th. And on January 1st, I was on the Bereaved But Still Me podcast, had a great time with Michael on there. Actually, they're going to broadcast it on January 1st, which is amazing. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll make sure I share that with you as well. January 17th, I'm going to be in Orlando at the Black Child Book Fair at the Orange County Multicultural Center on Colonial Drive. So I'm looking forward to going back to Florida. Anytime going back to Florida is always a great feeling. And then February 13th through 14th, I'll be at the Black Child Book Fair in Chicago, Illinois, at the James Jordan Boys and Girls Club. So that's going to be for 2 days, Friday and Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've also been working on trying to become a vendor with the Army Air Force Exchange on post, which I officially did with Fort Hood yesterday. I drove to Fort Hood, and I'm officially a AFES vendor. My next step is working on getting the books actually in the actual AFES store, and I'm working my way around that. So I'm very excited about these things, and then also looking at some other appearances. And the reason why I decided to publish the books in November, because if you didn't know, November is Child Grief Awareness Month. That's right, it's Child Grief Awareness Month, and the official day of Child Grief Awareness Day is November 20th. So I wanted to make sure that, hey, look, they created that because they know the holidays it can be a challenge for people, especially when their person is not here, especially for children, trying to celebrate the holidays and they're just not feeling it because their person is not here. Um, this is why it's important. And I know some people are like, you know what, I don't want to feel depressed around the holidays, but there are some people that feel that way because their person is not here. So I wanted to make sure that for those that wanted these resources, or just a story about hope. And even though they're grieving, that there's a sense of hope and joy that's coming through. This is for you as well. And so to contact me, I'm available for author visits and workshops. I did my first workshop last month using the Remember, Celebrate, Love book. And I thought it was thought it was great. But if you want to reach out to me, Tasha at tasha-mason.com. You're here on my Facebook page, Instagram, Tasha_Mason, and my new website, www.tasha-mason.com/books. You can order books through there. And also, this wonderful lady named Anita in Australia, she worked with me on the first book when she hand knitted Jasmine dolls, and I love them so much. As you can see, I have a bigger version of her right here, but they are also available on my website. Now my books are available on Amazon. They are also available on Barnes and Noble online and Books a Million online. But if you wanted to get a Jasmine doll, and I have a locket, which it's in the story, a heart-shaped locket here. When you read the third book, you'll see what I'm talking about, and where you can put a photo in there as well. I have this as actually it's not on the website yet, but it will be on there. I also have if you want the How You Are Feeling poster. This right here, like I said, is, for children to put on their wall. If you want it bigger, email me, let me know, and I'll work on getting it bigger. Um, and then also stickers and magnets. I have stickers and magnets that I print out myself, that I created and print out myself. And yeah, I'm just super excited about all of this. So, but for you, I want you to know that if you're trying to go into the stores and get them, hey, look, talk to Barnes and Noble, talk to Books. I mean, hey, look, can we get these books in the store? Because, hey, look, the more people that are interested, I'm pretty sure they'll get them in there as well. So I'm still working on that piece. I am just so excited um, that this whole series has actually come through to fruition. I did not think, had you told me, see, my author journey started, oh my gosh, 5 years ago. Yeah, 2020. And I published, but I don't want to say goodbye, November 2020. And look at this, 4 years later, it's come full circle for just really, I feel blessed. And there are a few counseling centers that are using these books as resources, but they only had the first two books. So now getting them the third book. But I will say, I want to give a huge thank you to a lot of you that supported me from day one. My first Kickstarter campaign, I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I said, I'm going to give it a shot, see what happens. And I got a lot of support from that. Even though I didn't do a Kickstarter campaign for the second book, I still got a lot of support for that. But I did do a Kickstarter campaign for the third book and the activity coloring book this past summer. And you guys showed up, and I thank you so much for that. And I look forward to hearing many of you reviews. So if you do purchase through Amazon and you get the books, please leave a review. I look forward to hearing from you. You can email me. You can hit me up on DM. I will respond. Let me know what you think of the books. Let me know if you feel like this is helpful to people. I'm okay if you say you didn't like it. It's okay too. It's not for everybody, but I did write this for those that are dealing with grief, that want to um, you know, read some stories about that brings hope, even if it's just for a moment. And also a little bit about my author journey. So, interesting enough, I didn't care about journaling wasn't my thing, especially about writing my feelings out. That was not my thing. Now in school, because I had to write papers, I love writing papers. I have my bachelor's in behavioral science. I have two master's degrees, one in management, one in social work. I have two associates, one in sociology, one in intelligence operations, and because I was intel when I was in the Army. And then my doctorate is in organizational leadership. As you can see, I love school. And I love writing papers. So when I first started writing the first book, I got a sheet of paper and I just wrote emotions, what emotions I was feeling at that time. I filled it up. It had no sometimes it wasn't it was just like a word going backwards, forwards, slant, cursive print. That whole page, I filled it up. And I folded the paper and I put it away. And then after a couple of weeks of writing, and I was like, you know what, let me go back to this paper because I started getting really emotional and I had to put it down, stop writing for a little bit. I looked back at the paper and I saw all these various emotions that I had that I didn't think I still had after all this time, but I did. And it was helpful for me because it helped me really I didn't mind tapping back into my 9-year-old self at that point and to feel those emotions and to go through that. And I will say, as being an independent author, and I will tell you, I submitted my stories to traditional authors and they said no. But I'm one of those people that don't give up. So my mom used to always tell us, I mean, all they can do is tell you no. So found another way. So I learned about self-publishing. Is it a lot of work? Yes. But it's very rewarding too because I learned about promoting myself. I'm one of those people that like to work behind the scenes. Hey, I get my fingers into everything. Not really big on being upfront. Even, if I have to be, I have to be, but I prefer being in the background. But to do this, I had to be upfront. So I had to speak to people at book fairs and reaching out to people I didn't even know and putting things on social media. I wasn't a social media person like that beforehand. I mean, I saw people that I knew, family members and friends. I would reach out, but now it's a whole different ball game of reaching out to people that I don't know, sharing my story and everything like that. So it has been an interesting experience. Um, but I will say that I've learned about, you know, who to reach out to. Everybody's not going to respond back, and that's okay. What printers, local printers, national printers, even overseas printers, learning about the printing process, learning how publishing goes, because and I've learned from people that did do traditional publishing, you still have to market yourself, and marketing can be a beast because depending on what your niche is, you have to go with that niche, right? So as you can see, the books I've written are picture books. But here's the interesting thing and what I learned. The way I wrote my picture books are not industry standard, right? So I have a lot more wording in the books, and I did that on purpose, which is fine because, like I said, I'm here to help people as they're processing their feelings. So, but I'm still working towards getting those books in stores. I'm working with independent bookstores to get them in there as well, um, and just getting to a point of being more comfortable with talking about my story and even sharing, different parts of my life. I mean, even with the book fairs have been amazing, meeting different people. And death is not easy to talk about. Let's be honest. I mean, in some cultures they celebrate it, but a lot of times here in America, we don't focus on it because it's so sad, right? And recently we've had a lot of deaths going on, whether it's dealing with the flooding that happened in Hill Country, whether you have the school shootings, different things are going on, and children are dealing with this. So how can we help them process their feelings? Why not use these books? Use these books as a story to help people be able to identify with a family and say, you know what, I'm feeling this way, or I may not be going through this, but I know somebody that is. Okay, and that kind of makes sense on why they're feeling the way they do. Because in one minute they seems like they're happy and everything's fine, and the next minute they're crying again. I don't understand. And being in that space, and it's okay to be in that space, and if you don't understand, that's okay too. um but learning and being there for people, and I know sometimes people can say things that they think they're helping, but sometimes they're not, like, you should be over it by now. No, because some people it takes a lot longer. It may be 5, 10, 15, 20. There are some women that I work with over 20 years and still suffering, dealing with the grief, you know, because that, and then grief is love. You love this person that is no longer here. That's where that's where the grief is. If it wasn't anybody, you might feel sad, but you wouldn't feel that grief. Or well, don't cry. Don't be sad. No, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to be frustrated. All these various feelings, because if we only focus on happy and angry, it's hard to process all the other emotions, and it won't, and it'll make it a lot harder when different times come up and you're dealing with things and you haven't really learned to process your emotions. So it's definitely been an interesting journey, and talking to different people, and and seeing and hearing that the books actually help people. And sometimes I've heard people say they've shed a few tears. Shedding tears is good. It's good. It's cleansing the soul. Um, but I feel truly blessed that I've been able to do this. And to let you know, Jasmine's story does not end. I'm actually going to be writing middle school chapter books. And I'm starting a brainstorming process, and I will be talking about Jasmine's story prior to her father dying. So you get an opportunity to see the family. They're going to go on some adventures and everything. And then moving forward to when he does die and how the family is trying to deal with that in a more in a more elaborate way than I have in the picture books. So please stay tuned for that. I will keep you posted. And also, I went to WriterCon back in August, September timeframe, and I submitted Let's Celebrate in the contest they had, and it won first place in the young readers category. And it was so funny because I wasn't thinking I was going to win. I was like, oh, let me submit it. Let's see what it says. So I'm sitting we're in the award ceremony and people are being called up and I had to go to the restroom and I was like, I'm not going to get up and leave because I don't want to be rude. So I'm gonna hang on. And so I looked down at my phone for a moment and I heard the announcer say, okay, we're getting ready to go into the young readers category. And this was a favorite read. And then he said my name and I was like, did I just hear my name? And so I looked up and I saw my name on the screen, winning first place in the young readers category, and which is so cool because the first book, But I Don't Want to Say Goodbye, actually won in the Independent Author Network, first place for young readers too, for juvenile fiction. So that was actually pretty cool for that right there. So you know as I'm slowly building as an author and really tapping into those emotions that not necessarily wanted to tap into before, I'm able to be a lot more creative and imaginative with the stories, if that makes sense. So, for anyone out there that's starting, that wants to become an author, I'm gonna tell you like this. I am not a best-selling author. I can share with you what I know, the things that have worked for me, things that didn't. And you know what I've learned is just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it doesn't work for someone else. So, it's one of those things that is trial and error, and I'm going to share my more of my journey with you all as time go on. I'm just trying to get everything set up now. The book have been launched in January. I am going to be starting my program as a certified nutrition coach, so stay tuned for that. But I have a lot going on right now, and I have to say it's very exciting. And even though there are moments where I have to sit there and be in silence and really be with my thoughts and my emotions, it's a lot easier for me to do it these days. And being around family and friends, and I do love my alone time. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love my solitude. I go walking, I go hiking, I love all of that. But it helps me, and even and especially going to church, volunteering at my church. That also helps me as well because I truly believe when you help others, that actually helps you. And in any way you can, whether it's donating your time, giving your tithes and offerings, or just spending time with someone, or even being creative, because you never know what gifts, if you don't know what gifts you're given, you never know until you start doing things, right? Yeah, this has been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool. So, I look forward to communicating more with you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm still out here learning. I look forward to one day being able to get into the schools and talk and maybe have some workshops there, maybe do some workshops with some of the counseling centers and everything like that. So there's some more exciting things to come. But I will tell you the books are available. They are available now. So like I said, go to my website, www.tasha-mason.com/books, or you can go to Amazon. And I tell you what, so this week, if you go ahead and if you purchase on my website, you'll get a free doll. I'm going to throw that in there. So what that means is if you purchase the whole set, um, through my website, I'll know you did, and then I will send you the free doll. If you purchase the full set in Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, send me an email and I will send me an email with the receipt to show me that you paid for it. And then I will send you Jasmine here. And that's from today until next Saturday. So I look forward to sharing more with you. And if you're coming out to the book fairs, please do. And I look forward to sharing more insight with you. So take care. Have an awesome Saturday. And I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.